Today we're going to look at budgeting. Budgeting helps businesses forecast future income or revenues and also to predict and control future spending. I use budgeting very, very often. I'm making this recording August 2017. Summer 2018 I plan to go and watch the British heavy metal band Iron Maiden on tour in Europe. Obviously that means I have to start saving now. So because I'm going to have to spend money on flights, concert tickets, hotels, food, drink, maybe having to buy train tickets, etc., etc. So I'm budgeting now. This is something you're going to have to do as you get older. Obviously businesses, multinationals are budgeting on a grander scale, but nevertheless they're budgeting for the same reasons I am. If I don't have enough income coming in, I may well have to try and get maybe finance from somewhere else. I may have to go to the bank and ask them to lend me money, or ask a friend to lend me money. Okay, so businesses are doing it obviously in a grander scale. So their budgets will be set for a number of different reasons, partly due to the objectives of the organization. So for example, at this moment, Apple is phasing out, I think, the iPods and Nanos and what have you. So they're probably spending very little money on those items. Equally, a lot of people think that Apple are developing the iCar. So the budget for research and development of the iCar is probably quite huge, because obviously it means Apple doesn't produce cars. Also, historical information. Toy companies, toy retailers are probably spending a lot of money on marketing and purchasing of toys in the run-up to Christmas. So Toys R Us, October, November, December will be spending a lot of money on purchasing toys and marketing those toys. That's historical, that's predictable. The amount of money available, some companies might have lots and lots of cash, so they can afford to maybe increase spending on advertising, they can afford pay rises for workers. Other companies, if they're facing bankruptcy, may well have to make a decision to stop making various products or make workers redundant. How much do other companies spend? Toyota spends 3.7% of its annual revenues on research and development. They're, as one of the world's leading car companies. Other car companies like Fiat or Peugeot or Buick may well make, or GM, sorry, may well make the decision that they're going to spend at least 3.7% of the revenue on research and development, especially with electric cars becoming more and more popular and governments imposing the development of electric cars onto car companies. And then talks between managers and bosses. I'm making this video using an iPad. Obviously I could go to my line manager and put into my budget each year, I want to buy 150 iPads for my students so they can have that in class. He's likely to turn that down and say it may have wonderful educational value, but they're only going to be used for 2 periods a day, so it's a lot of money. Students bring smartphones and they bring their own devices anyway. It's not a good use of money. We do, however, order textbooks, and we subscribe to The Economist magazine, we subscribe to Business Week magazine. That I'm more likely to be able to get through my budget, because obviously it's things which are used very frequently. Now, what does a budget actually look like? This is an example of a budget I made up for a coffee shop. I made it off the top of my head. One of the things we're interested in is how accurate are the budgets. If that is called variance analysis. The difference between what you budgeted, what actually happened, then the difference is the variance. Because it's very difficult to be perfect if you're trying to forecast what's going to happen in 12 months' time. So this is for a coffee shop. So I've said that the wages were 5,000 more expensive than you thought they were going to be. So the variance I've shown in red is minus 5,000. Now, why did we have that 5,000 difference? This is probably beyond the control of the business. Maybe the person who made the forecast did so based on economic forecast from the government. So let's say pay rises of inflation being 2.5% and inflation was 3%. Therefore the business had to spend more than expected. That's beyond the control of the business. The electricity, I've shown them spending less than expected, so that is a good thing. So that was because the business bought new air conditioner units and they use less electricity. Rent agreements tend to be maybe signed, the company knows it's going to be in the same premises for the next 5 years or 10 years, and they know each year how much they're going to be spending. They know there isn't going to be a sudden increase. So that is contractual, okay, it doesn't change. The company here They've spent more on marketing, and the reason why they spent more on marketing, 5,000 actually, was because competitors started a promotional war. And maybe the company has a contingency budget, a contingency fund, just in case of emergencies, and they decided, yes, we need to spend more money, otherwise we may lose customers. Coffee beans. Now, coffee beans are obviously a very, very important thing for a coffee shop. And in this example, the price of coffee beans worldwide fell by 20%. Maybe there was a massive oversupply of coffee this particular time period, so the price went up. So that is a good thing. The cakes, this is an example of something which is an unfavorable, favorable, if that's not too confusing. The company spent 10,000 more than expected because it sold more than expected. So here, this is something which would be an unfavorable, favorable. And may well mean that when the business is making a budget for the following year, then maybe they're going to have the budgeted cake sales of 60,000. So maybe next year the budget for the cake sales will be, budget for the cake purchases will be a little bit more accurate, because they will hope obviously to keep cake sales at a relatively high point. Now, this is then cost and profit centers. Businesses will try and work out how much profit are they making from the different parts of their business. And there's a number of different ways in which you can sort of break a company up and try and work out which parts are most profitable. So obviously profits are calculated as the revenues minus costs. So a company like Coca-Cola, which we'll use for the first couple of examples here, they can just split themselves up into product, Coca-Cola, Diet Coke, Fanta, Sprite, Dasani, etc., etc. They can also break themselves up in terms of North America, Europe, Africa. If you're a media company, split themselves up in film, music, books, online, magazines, etc. The school could look at itself in terms of year 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Because obviously there's, generally speaking, more students in a year 7 class than there is in year 13 class. The difficulty here is how do you apportion a lot of the indirect costs which don't directly go into making products. So for example, Coca-Cola's headquarters, I think, is in Atlanta, United States. So if you're doing it this by geography, and you're trying to work out the profit of Coke in Africa, how much of the head office costs in Atlanta, Georgia, United States would be apportioned to Africa? Okay, this used to be on the syllabus, the absorption costing is no longer in the syllabus, but that would be the issue here. Now we're going to look at Apple and its cost centers. Now, over 50% of Apple's earnings come from the iPhone. At this moment in time, the iPhone 8 is expected to come out, and as you can see on here, generally speaking, in the fourth quarter and first quarter of years, Apple does best, so we'd expect this to edge back up again. So generally 50–60% of Apple's income comes from the iPhone. Maybe it's become a little bit too dependent on that particular product. You can see here iPads sales have fallen generally. The Mac sales have gone up and down, but maybe fallen a little bit. Services are defined as being iTunes, Apple Pay, and Apple Music. You can see services seem to be increasing, and maybe that's something which will continue in the future. As people using like more and more apps, maybe Apple's able to monetize the use of apps. And other products such as the iWatch and iPods here. Okay, maybe at some point the iCar will come out, and that will become like a huge segment for itself. Okay, so for investors looking at this, they would say maybe Apple's overly reliant on the iPhone as a cost center, or as a profit center. So, in conclusion, budgeting is very, very important for businesses when they're trying to plan strategically for the future. So strategic objectives are things the business may want to achieve in the next 5, 10, 15 years. If your business has big plans, like Apple may well have with the iCar, then they have got to put lots and lots of resources towards that product to try and make it a success. If they don't put the resources towards the iCar, it's unlikely to be a success. And also sends out a very, very clear message to the people inside the organization: it's not important. So budgeting, this is for higher level only. So budgeting, it doesn't come up in the exams that often, but nevertheless it is a very, very useful concept to be able to understand. That's it.